If it isn't Seth Cohen. There, I did it.
Right on. And it is.
So what can I help you with?
Somebody murdered my boyfriend.
Seriously?
Pretty seriously. He was stabbed 17 times.
Is it possible he was involved in drugs?
No, he would never do drugs.
Gambling?
No, he would never gamble.
Demon worship?
No, he would never worship a demon.
Somebody's testing me.
My man, dude, the first time you and I have ever spoken is today. I have to say this. Please let me do this. If it isn't Seth Cohen. There, I did it.
Right on. And it is.
For the record, first time I interviewed Ben McKenzie, I'd said the same thing to him, and I said, if it isn't Ryan Atwood, dude, the OC, one of the greatest shows of all time.
Thanks.
In fact, my friends and I, when we go to Las Vegas, we still, to this day, call it the Vegas. The Vegas. There it is.
I'm very happy to have been an influential part of pop culture. I'm going to take it to the grave.
Evan, dude, this movie is genius. I love it.
Thank you very much. That's extremely generous.
Well, I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna give you proof and reasons why I like it so much. But I want to start from the beginning. You wrote this. You directed this. Where did this begin for you? Where did this story come to you?
Originally, I wrote it as a short film when I was in film school, but it was supposed to be about an actual kid who was like just solving very grisly crimes. And I was always a really big fan of Adams. I always just thought he was like just such an insanely funny charisma. And I had the good fortune to run into him a few times and share some of my work with him. And we determined pretty quickly that we just had a very similar sense of humor. And I just retooled this premise so that it could be an Adam Brody movie. And in doing so, like made the premise that much more kind of, ironic and interesting. And yeah, that was the impetus for it. That's where it came from.
We're talking Kid Detective today. True or false? Your 5-year-old daughter actually inspired you to take this role.
False. I was actually attached to this role before she was born.
Really?
Yeah, that was a miss. I don't know how. I like the reporter, but I don't know how he got that from what I said. But wrong.
Yeah, it's just something that.
Sorry to disappoint you.
No, it's okay. Well, let's start. What drew you to this?
She was the gleam in my eye that maybe reflected on the script, and I don't know.
See? But, so tell me what drew you to this then. If it was that long, in the making for you, what drew you to this?
It's very simple. Evan Morgan, the writer-director, collaborator, he's a sharp writer and storyteller. And I just, he sent me the first act of it, the first 30 pages, like 5 years ago. And I loved it instantly. And he's got such a specific voice that is just music to my, it fits like a glove, like music to my ears. And it's humorous, it's dark, it's deep, it's innocent, it's so many things. And so that was it. I was going to take the journey with them, whatever. That's what I normally look for if I have a say. I mean, obviously there are practical reasons why I would take a job, but in terms of just purely artistically, I'm just interested in like sharp storytelling, and then I'll hop into whatever part, and then I'm happy to be a player and however they could use me, a tool in their tool belt, toolkit. So yeah, that's what drew me. And then of course it's a high concept that's instantly kind of entertaining and catches your eye or your ear too. So I do love the premise.
When I was a kid, I had a detective kit. That's where I was like into this movie. Like I was like, oh wow. I obviously didn't pursue that career, but by the way, in addition to the detective kit, I had a weather kit and a magic kit. But I remember the detective kit had like you could do the powder, like fingerprints, and I would go around the house and get my parents, fingerprints and things like that. So as I'm watching this movie, I was thinking about that as a kid, but it also kind of gave me the theme of like never give up on yourself. Don't let things defeat you. Am I right about that?
I think it's partly true in the sense that like ultimately, yeah, he everyone is telling him, if you got to give this up, it's not cute anymore, and he doesn't. And as a result, like something is resolved that is significant, not just for him, but for everybody. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but I mean, it's kind of, you know, it'd be tough if we didn't resolve the mystery at the end of the movie. But by the same, I'll say the flip side of that is that, you know, he was told that like he was special as a child. He was told that he was like a genius detective. And as a result, like he's just been, you know, stuck in that space and unable to relinquish that sense of identity. He might have become a happier person if he moved on, you know, if he hadn't been such a kind of like, hadn't felt so indebted to that first sense of like identity. And so for me, it's kind of both. It's like, yeah, it's like, look what he was able to do. And at the same time, you know, it cost him a lot. Like it cost him a lot of years. You know, it cost him a lot in terms of, you know, the innocence that he ultimately loses. But anyway, that's a long answer to a short question. So,
what did you want to be when you were a kid? What did, you know, people always say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you want to be?
I had no practical goals. It was all sports related, whatever sport I was playing at the moment, you know. Could be in the Major League Baseball. Next year is going to be in the NBA. You know, I'm going to be a pro skateboarder. Yeah, anything more practical. The most practical thing I ever thought about was acting, but I only briefly thought about it in 6th grade for a couple of months, and then let that go by, and then didn't revisit that. You know, for almost a decade.
Should we feel sorry for these characters? I include Abe into that. I include, you know, the people that are around him in his world. Do we feel sorry for them?
I think so. I mean, I for sure feel sorry for them. I mean, for Abe in particular, he's a selfish character, and, you know, he's, you know, he lies all the time, and, you know, he's filtering most of his experience through his own ego. But at the same time, it stems from this incredible trauma that he experienced as a child, where, like, you know, everyone told him he was a genius detective. His receptionist, 13-year-old girl, gets kidnapped. He naturally thinks it's his responsibility to find her. And that's heartbreaking. And, you know, the creature that we find in the present is a direct result of that, you know, just taking responsibility for something that was never his responsibility. And so I think even though he can behave in a selfish way, like, we understand why he is the way that he is. And so hopefully we feel sorry for him.
Evan, thank you so much for your time. Dude, The Dirties is genius. I have seen it. And keep making movies, brother. Seriously,
thank you so much. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Humor. I love your outlook on life, and I have a very dry sense of humor. So I dig it.
Right on. Love it.
Well, man, I love your shirt, by the way.
Hey, thanks.
Awesome.
Let's get it done.
We got to get it done, and we will get it done.
We're going to get it done. I agree.
Oh, I know we are. My friend, great talking with you today. Congrats. I love the dry humor of this, and I just talked to your director. I'm the same kind of person, so that's why I really dug this story.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.